expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pushing the Limits radio show with your host, Leonard Cardinelli. Today, you might notice that Brian Shapiro, the regular host, is not here. I'm filling in. Brian is over at UNLV on the Unf America tour from 11 to 2 p.m. today, and I think they'll be chatting with people and networking and maybe even a little debate. Let me give you a little bit of the rundown for today. We're going to talk the usual politics of the day. Then we're going to go to some clips, and at 12:30, we're going to have a special guest who we're not going to announce until he actually is on the air, so that you'll be surprised. Then after that, of course, we'll be taking your phone calls. We want you to call in with your concerns, your questions, your comments, whatever. Whatever is, we usually call it What's on Your Mind Wednesdays. So let me know what's on your mind. We missed Brian already. I don't think he'll be here tomorrow or Friday. He's going out of town to debate with Tim Pool, and we'll probably have a little bit more on that later on for you. In the news today, just so much going on. President Trump knocking down the East Wing that was built as an entrance in 1942. It actually was a small entryway in 1902, and then in 1942, I believe Roosevelt added a hallway to greet people into the White House. It was one of the main entrances for decades, and it was built over a, I guess it's kind of a secret war room to kind of cover it up. And now Trump, without congressional approval, is just knocking that whole structure down to build his $250 million ballroom. So right on the top of the show, we're going to have a clip of Trump talking about San Francisco and how much San Francisco is welcoming Trump and his troops to occupy the city and come into the city. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
And you're going to go to San Francisco next.
We're going to go to San Francisco. The difference is I think they want us in San Francisco. San Francisco was truly one of the great cities of the world. And then 15 years ago, it went wrong. It went woke. Remember my statement? Anything woke is, and I used a filthy, well, broke is another word. I used a filthy word, but I didn't. No. I took enough heat on that. I won't say it again, but it's true. I mean, nothing changes, right? But we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. It'll be great. Again, San Francisco is a great city. It won't be great if it keeps going like this. Chicago's another one. So the head of the Union Pacific, who you probably had on your show, he started off as like a conductor, and now he's the chairman. Sort of a great story. His father worked for the railroad, the Union Pacific, great company. And he was in my office, and I talked to him because he knows all the cities. He said, "Sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. We're going to lose Chicago. Save Chicago." That was 2 months ago. And I said, let's do it. And I met with like this legal force. And don't forget, and I haven't used it, but don't forget, I can use the Insurrection Act. 50% of the presidents almost have used that. And that's unquestioned power. I choose not to. I'd rather do this. But I'm met constantly by fake politicians that think that, it's not like a part of the radical left movement to have safety. These cities have to be safe. Our cities that are Democrat run, exclusively just about, are unsafe cities. They're a disaster. And I'm going to save the cities. I didn't run on that. I ran on crime, but I didn't run on straightening out the city.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So much to unpack there. Let's start with the fact that he said half of the presidents have used the Insurrection Act. That is not accurate. In fact, there's been 15 invocations of the Insurrection Act since 1807. The act's been invoked by 15 presidents and by one Army general illegally in response to 30 incidents, and the latest, use was in 1992 at the Los Angeles riots. So insurrection is when, you know, the country's occupied or people are attacking or we're at war, and none of that exists in San Francisco. You know, fairly obvious that that's not the case. And so when we talk about woke, and let's just talk about woke, because I'm not afraid of the word. Woke to me means that there was a lot of veiled racism over time. There was a lot of cutting down of civil rights and liberties, and there was a movement, and people became woke. They realized that you have to stand up to these tyrants, and you have to stand up to people who are obsessed with taking over the country, taking over your money, taking over the media, not allowing anyone to be informed. And people decided to be informed. I kind of feel like I'm a woke person myself, because you start to pay attention to politics. You start to pay attention to what's in your own best interest. That, it's not a bad word, and it doesn't mean that you're cancel culture or far left. And you know, we can get into that maybe later or tomorrow. That's really not the subject today of where the Dems are headed. But you can't let people violate your rights behind your back. And when people woke up, for some reason, the conservative Republicans and the MAGAs and Trump are very offended by people who say that they're woke. And let's talk about some information about the high murder rates and crime. So in doing some Google searches, I found out in 2022, the murder rate in Republican voting states was 33% higher than Democratic voting states. Did you know that? From 2000 to 2022, the average murder rate was 24% higher in states that voted Republican. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest number of rates in 2022 voted for Donald Trump in both 2016 and 2020. For the past 23 years, states with the highest murder rates have been consistently dominated by Republican-leaning states. Even when removing the target, often Democrat-leaning, cities from the analysis, the murder rate in red states remains significantly higher than in blue states. States with the highest murder rates, which are politically red states, include Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Arkansas. And that's factual data. That's not just somebody saying, I think Trump said about Portland that it was war-torn. He was calling it a war-torn city, and it was out of control in the crime. And then, of course, they show pictures of people just walking down the street or going to work or standing in the park. And then, you know, when they had some demonstrators out there wearing inflatable frog suits and inflatable giraffe suits. So obviously, that was not accurate. That was something that was said just to be able to justify moving troops into Portland, and now he's got his sights set on San Francisco. So I think there's a real issue there. Next, we're going to do another clip where they're talking about extorting with their crazy plots. Let's take a listen.
They just are so bad, you know. They said death. It was like death, and there's nothing about death. Theirs is death, because they're going to lose Medicaid, they're going to lose Social Security, they're going to lose Medicare. All of those things are going to be gone because the whole country would be bankrupt, and you're not going to have any kind of medical insurance. So with us, it's the opposite. And it's a great bill. We don't need any more. And I want to just say from the beginning, our message has been very simple. We will not be extorted on this crazy plot of theirs.
So extortion has to do with coercion or force or the threat of force. And so I don't know where President Trump is going with the extortion comment, but it doesn't seem to fit the situation. What the Democrats are doing is they're standing their ground. They're trying to keep the subsidies in Obamacare, in the Affordable Care Act. They're trying to keep medical premiums from doubling for the average family, double or more from the average family. So that's what's really going on. And as of November 1st, SNAP benefits will either be taken away or seriously depleted for 42 million Americans. 42 million people who use the SNAP program will either have it cut or have it seriously cut down. And so when they're talking about extortion, it's not extortion at all. What the Democrats are doing is they're taking the opportunity, because we have very little leverage right now, very little, if any. And they're taking the leverage that they had October 1st, because they knew December 31st, a lot of the big, beautiful bill cuts to Medicaid and Medicare are going to be enacted, and it's going to affect millions and millions of people. And like I always say, who does that? You know, the Republicans are responsible, but who does that kind of thing? Who cuts food programs for the average person? Some children who are in the SNAP program, the best 5 meals they get in a week are at school. On the weekends, maybe their parents, you know, don't have enough money for the proper food, or they don't eat well, but their best meals of the week are at school, and they're going to cut those programs. And so it's not extortion. You know, let's not get it twisted. And on the next clip, we got Brian Schatz, who's a Democrat out of Hawaii. He's a chief deputy minority whip, and he's explaining how there's enough money to pay Argentina and other countries. There's enough money for all these multi-million, billion-dollar projects, but not enough money just to take care of Americans. Let's listen to the clip.
2 points. The first thing is that this is not about money. There is enough money to bail out Argentina with $20 billion. There is enough money to purchase a brand new aircraft for $173 million for the Homeland Security Secretary. There is enough money to renovate the White House ballroom. What there's not enough money for under this Republican government is you. There's not enough money for you. And it is astonishing to me that the party in charge of the government literally won't show up to work during the second longest shutdown in American history. House Republicans have been gone for more than a month. More than a month. They've worked 2 weeks out of the last 3 months. Nice work if you can get it.
How's that for representation? How's that for taxation without representation? We all continue to pay our taxes. They start laying off federal workers. And what happens to the unemployment numbers? And what happens to the amount of money that the unemployed federal workers would otherwise dump into our system? And then Trump wants to give $20 billion. Did you know that about $20 or $22 billion could feed and house the entire homeless population for a year? But yet he wants to give it to, and then he wants another $20 billion. So Trump goes to the banks and comes up with this plan to have the banks loan Argentina another $20 billion on top of the $20 billion. So now we're at $40 billion. However, the banks are kind of hesitating because they want some collateral. So what they're saying essentially is, if we loan this money to Argentina, this $20 billion, we need some kind of collateral, because what if Malay defaults and they don't pay their loan? And then Trump added in that if, I believe the election is Sunday, and if his guy, Malay, doesn't get elected, then all bets are off. And I guess Argentina is not going to get the money. So I think he's trying to manipulate the elections of a foreign country and giving them money because it's because he likes the president. He's very conservative. He's very Trump-like. He doesn't like a lot of civil rights. He's rough on the media. He's limited with information coming out. And this is basically using American money while people are getting off of SNAP and Medicaid and Medicare, and people are going to be food insecure coming up here real shortly, as soon as November hits. And giving money to other countries when farmers are going broke. I'm sure you've seen the videos on social media. I have. Farmers saying because of the tariffs, they have to close a business that they've had for 25 years. That's been handed down from the family for years and years. And don't even get me started on soybeans. Because soybeans, China used to be the #1 importer of soybeans in America. And now we can't sell. Oh, by the way, Argentina, behind our back, is starting to sell soybeans to China. And shouldn't that upset Trump? Shouldn't that make him mad that we're trying to place tariffs on the soybean industry and we're killing the soybean industry here in America? But he has $20 billion to just give away to another country, and then another $20 billion under pressure of the banks to go ahead and give them that loan with no collateral. So I think it's just a bad idea all the way around. In the next clip, we have Rand Paul. Rand Paul's getting interviewed, and he's explaining about fentanyl, because as you know, the Trump administration has targeted and bombed several boats, and they've sunk boats with people in them from Venezuela. Colombia is claiming that it was just people fishing. It was a fishing boat with people. There's no probable cause. There's no stopping the boat. We're not at war with Venezuela. We're not at war with anyone. They're not trying to occupy our country. And so Rand Paul is trying to kind of sum it up a little bit to put it in perspective, so you can see how it's really just a sham. Go ahead, please.
Number one, there is no fentanyl made in Venezuela. Not just a little bit, there's none being made in Venezuela. These are outboard boats that, in order for them to get to Miami, would have to stop and refuel 20 times. They're in all likely going to Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island right off of the coast of Venezuela. So there's a lot of reasons to be worried about this. But number one is the broader principle of, when can you kill people indiscriminately? When you're at war. That's why when we declare war, it's supposed to be done by Congress. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be debated. And we're not supposed to do it willy-nilly. And then when you have war, you just kill people in the war zone. And even then there are rules of engagement. But interdicting drugs has always been a criminal activity and a criminal anti-crime sort of activity, where we don't just summarily execute people. We actually present evidence and convict them.
So Rand Paul saying we don't summarily execute people, that we arrest them and we convict them. So zero fentanyl coming out of Venezuela, and they're saying this is the war on drugs and this is the war on crime. And then Rand Paul explains that you would have to refuel 3 times in order for that boat to get to America. And so the logistics and the strategy and the possibilities become more and more narrow the more informed people get. So why is the Trump administration doing this? There's lots of different possibilities. He's now provoking the president of Venezuela, and it looks like we have moved some pieces of the military closer. And is he trying to provoke him? I don't know. Is he trying to provoke war so when the midterms come around, he can say, oh, I declared war in Venezuela, so there's no elections. Or in 2028, we're at war with Venezuela or Colombia or South America or whomever, so we cannot have elections. And he's going to use Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine as the example. He's going to say that Zelensky suspended their elections because they're at war, but they're at war every day. They just got bombed by Russia last night. I believe 7 people were killed. Some were children, and that was just last night, because Trump was going to send missiles to Ukraine, and long-range missiles, so they could push back against Russia. And he decided against that and told Zelensky just to give up the land, and especially the Donetsk region, that hope I'm saying that right, that is already partially occupied by the Russians. And of course, Zelensky wouldn't go for it. So, and that's kind of where it gets murky, because if we propose a war, can the president, I think President Trump thinks he can say that we're at war, but it needs to go through Congress. Unless we're directly attacked, unless we're occupied, unless there's people attacking us, like Pearl Harbor, something like that, then the president, yes, has the power to say we're at war with that country. But I don't think that's really going to be the case. So the next clip, President Trump, the New York Times reporting he's seeking $230 million from the Department of Justice in response to the investigations into him. So let's play the clip and then we'll talk.
New York Times is reporting that your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you. Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity, any money. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slobodanopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. You know, they paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong. And you know, when somebody does what's wrong, now with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And you know, that decision would have to go across my desk, and it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
Okay, so that was President Trump talking about the $230 million as reimbursement. Remember, that's American taxpayer dollars through the Department of Justice for $230 million because there were two cases. There was the January 6th case brought against him and the classified documents case, which from everything I've seen were both legit investigations. They were not false or phony. They weren't brought for political reasons. There were laws broken, and the Capitol was attacked by thousands of people. 1,500 of them went to jail. Now Trump pardoned them, on the other side, but there was a lot of charges. Some of them felonies. 140 police officers were injured that day. I think 4 or 5 are no longer with us. So it was a very bad day for America. But the law's sort of clear, but when it comes to presidential powers and immunity, the law is not as clear. Let me tell you what I mean. The president cannot preside over their own court case because, quote, no one may be a judge in their own case. This rule comes from a long-standing common law principle. Now it's a Latin principle, and I'm going to try to pronounce it. I'll do my best. It's nemo judex in causa sua, and that means that if you're not the judge, you can't adjudicate your own case. Now, can he order the DOJ to pay because he wants to file a lawsuit? I guess he could file a lawsuit and try to get the money that way. But this is your hard-earned American dollars paying for $230 million in legal fees, basically. He says he's going to give to charity, but I don't know. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. So the next clip is Mike Johnson getting called out by a journalist for not swearing in Adelita Grijalva of Arizona because he doesn't want her to sign the release of the Epstein files. We all know that. And so let's listen to the clip.
Democrats say that you will not swear in a Democrat who was elected in Arizona's special election because you do not want her critical vote on the Epstein discharge position. Why won't you swear her in?
This is just a matter of the schedule. In a pro forma session, no one's there in the chamber. It's literally sometimes 3 or 4 people. You have a clerk and whomever is serving as the interim speaker.
I understand, and that makes perfect sense until we look back and see that there have been Republicans sworn in during pro forma sessions. So why should it be different for a Democrat?
Great question. There was a unique exception made when the 2 Florida representatives were sworn in earlier this year after winning a special election. And the only reason we did that is because it was previously noticed for that date, and they flew all their families and friends in for the ceremony. But,
so if she flies in her family, would you guys do it?
She'll get the full bells and whistles. It hasn't
you understand
been
how this
scheduled
looks,
because
right?
we don't.
Yeah, we do. We understand how it looks. And it looks like a bunch of word salad sandwich and misdirection and untruths, because the reporter asked Mike Johnson in April, wasn't there 2 Republicans sworn in, I think the next day during a pro forma session, and it doesn't take all of Congress. You need to have a clerk there and a witness, and of course Mike Johnson and Alita Grijalva did make plans to bring her family in. So even that argument doesn't make any sense. And what he's trying to say is, well, you know, we did it once before for a Democrat. It took 29 days, but that was because her family and she made plans. Well, Grijalva did make plans, and she was told that it would not happen. So this is just more, you know, trying to cover up the Jeffrey Epstein case and the Epstein files, because when Grijalva she's already said, as soon as she's sworn in, she'll be the 218th vote in order to compel Congress to release the entire Epstein files. So once again, you know, Mike Johnson, I don't know how a lot of people feel about it, but I think that Mike Johnson is, you know, pretty easy to see through, and he's tripping over his words, and he's pouty all the time. And were we going to take a break next? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and we're going to bring in our special guest and for an interview, and then on the other side, we'll be taking your calls on What's on Your Mind Wednesday when we come back.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Pushing the Limits radio show with your host today, Leonard Cardinelli. And Brian Shapiro is at UNLV at the UNF America Tour, and he'll be there from 11 to 2 p.m. today near the Student Center if you're interested. There's probably still time to get down there, obviously, if you live in Las Vegas. And we're going to conduct an interview, and on the other side of the interview, we're going to take some calls at 702-221-7283. So let me introduce our special guest for today. We have Colonel Cabin Craddock, U.S. Air Force, retired. Are you there? Colonel, are you there? Not yet. Okay, we're holding on for a second. So, Colonel Craddock served in the U.S. military. He was in the Air Force for 25 years. He went to the Air Force Academy. He flew F-22s and F-15Cs, so he was a fighter pilot. He was stationed in England, Japan, and all the U.S., and he ended up at the Nellis Air Force Base here in Las Vegas 3 times, where he eventually ended up being the commander. He retired in 2020. He moved to Fort Worth, Texas for a while and was involved in some private business, defense strategies, from what I understand. We're going to talk about his book when he's ready, and we're going to talk to him about his book. It's called COVID Palooza. When he does arrive, we'll give him another minute or so, and then we may have to take calls prior to him coming on the show. So, just so you know, his book, COVID Palooza, was about many of the comments and emails he made to the men and women, his troops back in the day. And he tried to be lighthearted. And you want to go to a break so we can get the phone number? Do you need the phone number? Okay, we're going to go to a break. We're going to see if we can get the colonel on the line, and we'll be right back.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true
Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Ready? Okay, welcome back. Pushing the Limits radio show. Thanks for being patient. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. We're going to interview Colonel Craddock by phone only, so there won't be a live shot video of him, but let's see if we have him online. Colonel, are you there?
I am here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to do this. That's very, very nice of you. I'm gonna we'll talk about your background, and I have some questions for you, and we'll get to the book in a minute. But if you don't mind, my first question is, can we get one pressing question out of the way? Everyone wants to know where you got the name Caveman from. But I don't know. I don't want the public story. I want the story that the men and women know.
The real story. Real story. That's right. Because it's true. With every call sign, there are 2 different stories. There's the good one. There's the one you can tell your mom. So the truth about mine is that when I was growing up as a young fighter pilot, you go in. There's a stepping stone procedures. As you learn how to fly the airplane and maneuver the airplane like a weapon. And one of my very early rides, I'm going in. I've got a wingman. He's an experienced flight lead that's taking me in to go fight. And we're going to go fight another simulated bad guy. And so those 2 get in a turning fight, and I've left, and I'm coming back in, and my job is to figure out the good guy and the bad guy, kill the bad guy, save the good guy. We got some confused communications coming as we go in there, and I end up killing my flight lead, which is really bad. But as I killed him, and this is simulated, obviously, as I simulate killing him, he then lets me know I've killed the wrong guy. So I just turned over and killed the other guy, and they said I was like a caveman walking in with a club, just killing everything in front of me.
Right. Like a bull in a china shop, so to speak.
That's right. That's how I work.
Well, thank you for that. And let me say thank you for your service. I understand you did 25 years. A little bit about me. I'm a 25-year retired police lieutenant. So I've been in some stuff as well, but nothing close to the kinds of things that you've been into. I see you graduated from the Air Force Academy. How was that experience for you?
So that was a great experience, fantastic experience. There's a bunch, you go to school with a whole bunch of great people who are all there for the same purpose, to serve their country. And it's a fantastic school. It's in Colorado Springs. If you haven't been there, it is a gorgeous campus, great instruction, great sports teams. It was a whole lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed my time there.
I'd like to see that one day. And I know So people don't really know my background all the way back, but I almost went into the military because I did want to be a fighter pilot, and I ended up going to college instead because my parents agreed to pay for it. And I see that you flew F-22s and F-15Cs. Was that as much fun as it sounds?
No, it was a lot more. So to take the most, awesome thing that you can think of, the greatest roller coaster ride you've ever been on, whatever that thrill-seeking adrenaline rush is, and multiply it times 10, and that's what it's like. It was a ton of fun. It was a great experience, and again, it was just a true honor to be able to serve the country and go do that.
What's the fastest you get up to in a plane like that?
Incredibly classified, but I've been up towards Mach 2.0.
Okay,
so twice.
I'll be careful. No more classified questions. I can tell you that rolling code, lights and sirens, and on a vehicle chase was a pretty big adrenaline dump back in the day, but cannot be compared to flying a fighter jet.
I can totally match. And again, Larry, thank you for your service as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think that we need more people in the world. So I know when I was testing to become a lieutenant, we read many books on leadership. And I know that leadership was a big part of what you did. Do you have any tips for the up-and-comers in the military regarding leadership?
Yeah, you bet. What I would tell you is be true to your people, be true to yourself. Some people are just born with a natural ability to lead. Some people, it takes a lot of instruction. And even those that are born with that innate gift still need to learn and be able to grow and get better at what they do. But the number one thing is to take care of your people, right? For me to take care of my airmen. And you are given in the command, in our military, in the United States of America's military, you were given America's daughters and America's sons and some amazing, amazing people who are there to serve and do great things. And the best way that you can lead them is to take care of them.
Yeah, I agree. And I did as much as I can to try to make the job as interesting and productive as I possibly could. If it's all right with you, I would like to get into a little bit of politics. Is that okay? I don't know if you're
sure. I'm a political junkie. I love politics.
So let me ask you. Let's start out with a tough one. What about Trump using American cities as a training ground and admitting to it openly?
So that's an interesting one for me. Obviously from the Air Force perspective, that wouldn't apply to us. So to truly understand how the ground forces train, what it would be like to train, because our ground forces obviously train on American soil, right? I mean, they have bases, they have training areas, they have places where they're going to train. So training on American soil is not something new to them. It's normal. Obviously doing it in an American city, that would be different. And so I would have my concerns, just like any other American that they're doing that. But you get valid training doing all sorts of things. I mean, we fly over the United States and get valid training doing it. We're not, not doing anything, of ill will to the American people. So it's an interesting thought to me. I'd have to be smarter on exactly what it is that they're doing truly to be able to answer that question. But obviously, just like everybody else, I have concerns about it.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because it started out that they were protecting federal buildings in L.A., about 700 of them. Then they started advancing down the stairs to push the crowd back. And then recently in Chicago and Portland, you see military, and they have they have handcuffs or flex cuffs and sidearms, and they're assisting with arrests. And my concern is that the military may not get the amount of training on what constitutes reasonable suspicion, probable cause, consensual contact, due process, search and seizure. And so training them within the American public doesn't seem like a good idea. What do you feel about the direction of the country under Trump? I know that's a loaded question, but
yeah,
if it's a difficult question for you to answer, we can move on.
No, it's not. And Leonard, to back up just a little bit, I mean, you obviously have been, very well trained and all the things that you just listed to go into city and do your job. And quite frankly, that is not the role of the military. So you're exactly right in that, they're not trained to go do something of that order or that magnitude potentially, which again, it just causes concern. What I'll tell you is I do not like the direction the country's going. And the reason I don't is because of the extreme vitriol in politics right now. And just the fact that the left and the right can't get along on anything, the government shut down. The days of bipartisanship are certainly not here right now. And I'm scared they may never come back. Right. I mean, it's just extreme divisiveness.
Well,
and I don't like that. And I don't think that's the country that our forefathers wanted it to be.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that using military to go into cities and then obviously I have my opinion. Donald Trump's talking about Oregon looking, war torn and crime ridden and shootings and they actually show a live shot while he's speaking and it's just people walking in the park and I'm sure they have crime just like everybody else. But here's the problem. In police work, we have kind of zero tolerance, right? When you do zero tolerance in a neighborhood, it brings what they call the displacement theory. You will stop crime in that area. I guarantee it. If you just pour as many police officers as you can in with a zero tolerance. However, the crime gets displaced to another place. And the worst part of that scenario is the police, it's a directed patrol. You can't stay there forever, just like the military. They can't stay there forever. When you hire police officers, they're going to be there for their career, 2 decades, 3 decades, and they're going to get to know the neighborhood, and they're going to get to know the crime, and they're invested in the city or in the county that they're working. And once the military leaves, all those people that are displaced. So really, it's really a political theater, and a photo op is kind of the way that I look at it. I did want to ask you about the Qatari base because President Trump is saying he's going to allow Qatar to have a military base in, I think, Idaho, and they're going to train. Pilots are going to train there with fighter jets, from what I understand. And wouldn't that put a Middle Eastern country? And remember, there's never, I'm sure you know this. There's never been an actual military base in America from a foreign country, but wouldn't they put them in striking distance of all the major cities, at least on the West Coast and central United States?
Yeah, so I think that one's way overhyped, Leonard. Is the statement that you just made factually correct? Yes, but what they're going to do, or what he's talking about, it's not setting up a base and giving it to Qatar. We have all sorts of foreign presence in the United States at our U.S. military bases, and they come and train with us there and participate with us there. The base they're talking about is Mountain Home Air Force Base, just north of Boise, and we already have a foreign presence there. It's not Qatari, but it's already a foreign presence there, and they're training right now. So that I get the optics of it looks bad, and I agree with that. But the reality of what he's talking about is something that we've been doing for decades.
Okay, that's one of the reasons I'm sure Brian wanted to have you on the show, because you have a lifetime of experience, a lifetime of training, a lifetime of leadership, and for the listeners to get your perspective is more valuable than you probably realize. But let's get to the fun stuff. Let's talk about your COVID Palooza book that I believe was released in August of 2025, and it's Fighting the Forces of Dumb for the Good of the Airmen. It's based on a series of humorous emails that you wrote to keep the airmen informed and motivated during a time of great uncertainty. Can you share some of the emails and texts that your men and women found the funniest or the most helpful? Well, yeah, okay, the ones that, remember, we're on a radio show, so we can't use
That's right.
harsh language, but
that's right. I'll do my best to church it up, Leonard. It was just a very interesting time. The book, like you said, it's called COVID Palooza, and it's a story about my time running Nellis Air Force Base, which is just north of Las Vegas, during the chaos and insanity of COVID. And yeah, it's a great place, and it's just a story about the lunacy and the idiocy of those times. And I tell it in kind of a satirical style to highlight the mayhem that my airmen and I endured, and kind of what happened, being the Nellis wing commander. We had 9 different wings up there, 52 different units outside of those 9 wings. And I was we dubbed the job that I had, as the mayor of Nellis, if you will. And so I had to, work across all those organizations. And there's over 15,000 airmen who are up there working on that base. And so trying to communicate during COVID and trying to get accurate information out that they would want to hear and know, was a real challenge. And so what I figured out, what eventually ended up working, is I could just send an email out to the entire base. One email address goes to everybody on the base. And if I would just try to put some stupid humor in it, sprinkled around, making fun of some of the senior leaders that were on the base, and then get those facts in there about what's really going on and the information that they really needed to know. Amazing to me, the 18-year-old Gen Zers would actually read the email from the old man.
Wow.
And so I'm like, wow, this is working, right? So it just became a string of random emails that I would send out. And yeah, I mean, the funniest parts of them were normally that I would pick in every one. I would find some senior leader on the base, and I would say something about them that was wildly not true, but just make fun of them, And so one of them, the 57th Wing Commander, who was a one-star general, he outranked me. I sent this whole email about that he was going around the base licking the monkey bars and asking everybody to please clean the monkey bars when you got off of them because the general was going to come lick them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And so when you say, you added some humor, obviously that was part of your leadership style. And it seems like it was opening a door into getting people to pay attention. COVID was a very, very difficult time. I was actually, I've been retired for 4 years, and I was actually still on duty. I was a lieutenant during that time, and it was very, very challenging. A lot of people were concerned. The officers were concerned. We didn't know how out of control it was going to get, so we had to have special equipment. And I did always try to keep it light. I would play videos and during briefing and try to keep it light and make sure that people didn't get so anxious and wrapped up in it that they couldn't think clearly at the right time. So that seemed like that was a really great idea. I have another question for you. Did you want to say, by the way, where they could get the book? Is there somehow they can find the book?
You bet. It's on Amazon. If you just Google COVID-Palooza, one word, on Amazon, it'll come right up, and it's there.
COVID-Palooza. So let me ask you, when you're asked about how you spent your life of service and commitment by someone you really care about and they really want to know, how do you respond?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was in high school, I actually tried to enlist in the Army when I was in high school. I was a junior and I was 17 years old. The Army said yes. My parents said no. And unfortunately, when you're 17, you're not allowed to. So my parents told me, you have to go to college. And I'm glad they did. Again, like I told you, the Air Force Academy is a phenomenal experience and I truly enjoyed it. But I went to the Air Force Academy because I wanted to fly. And I wanted to fly fighters and I wanted to go serve my country. And again, I was blessed, praise the Lord, I was blessed and was given the opportunity to go do that. And it was fantastic. But I learned early on in my career that I was really, far more interested and much happier in serving the airmen. So, flying the fighters was great, but I had airmen under my command, my entire career. And the true joy that I got from serving my country and from doing my job was taking care of the airmen. And like I've already said, just some incredible people that are out there in the service and all the services that came from all walks of life in our country. And the greatness about the service, what I truly love, what I truly miss, honestly, was the men and the women that I got to serve with.
Yeah, that's a life well spent. That's usually what I say when I start with when people ask me, and it's a life well spent. Helping a lot of people, but military service, everyone here honors your military service. Everyone is very proud of the men and women that serve, and I know they're going through a lot. And hopefully they'll just hang in there. There's been a lot of changes to the military, and they just came out. I think Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, just came out yesterday and said that the people at the Pentagon, even the high-ranking officers, can't communicate with politicians and can't communicate with people at the legislature. So I know my point is things are getting tough. And I just wanted to mention for the listeners that I know you've received many awards, multiple awards, but I did want to mention some of the medals and some of the awards, including the Legion of Merit, the National Defense Service Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal and Service Medal. So I want to say thank you I want to thank you, Colonel, for your service and your leadership, because there's no telling how many men and women you've affected. There's no telling how many people you've set on the path, you put on the right path, you held together during a difficult time, and that's true leadership. And we at here, Pushing the Limits, really want to thank you for your service and for your time.
Well, that's great, Leonard. I really appreciate it. And I'll tell you, you're exactly right. The people of Nevada are just such great supporters of the military and such great supporters of Nellis Air Force Base. And it was just fantastic. I was stationed there 3 times, and every single time it was just amazing, the support that we received, and I truly appreciate that.
Well, I meant to ask you a quick question. Do you remember the charity softball games between the North Las Vegas Police Department and the Thunderbirds?
I do remember those.
Well, do you know who organized that and ran it?
No.
Me.
That's awesome, man. Those were always so much fun.
Yeah, so we were at Buffalo Wild Wings and celebrating our trophy from the softball league that we were in, and there were some Thunderbirds sitting next to us, and they kind of, gave us some smart comments because we were celebrating, and they said they had a softball team. And anyway, Raul Elizondo was a police officer that was killed in 1995, and North Las Vegas put up a school in his name, and the teacher there approached me and said that they didn't have computers. They needed some books, and they had no computers for the kids. So for several years in a row, I put together, and with the help of my friends, a charity softball tournament. And over the years, we ended up giving thousands and thousands of dollars to the Raul Elizondo Elementary School. And the Thunderbirds were some of the best people I ever met, gentlemen and ladies, and fun and interesting and smart. And I wanted to thank them on our behalf.
That's awesome, and I agree. And thank you for doing that.
Why don't you come back on sometime, and maybe next time we'll get you on video so people can see you. We'll see. We'd love to have you back. You can come back anytime. We talk a lot of politics, but I really want to thank you for taking this time out to speak with us today. We really appreciate it.
No, thanks, Leonard. Thanks to Brian as well and everybody pushing the limits. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to come back anytime.
All right, I will pass that on to him. Have a good day, Colonel, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, thanks, y'all too.
Thank you. So we're going to take some calls, not right now, at 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283. We're going to take a quick break so we can reset. And on the other side, we'll be taking your calls. The phone lines are filling up quick, so you might get a busy signal, or it might take you a couple of calls to get through, but keep trying and we will put you on the list. Taking a break from Pushing the Limits radio show.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super heroes.
Okay, welcome back. Pushing the Limits with Leonard Cardinelli filling in for Brian Shapiro. If you don't recognize me, you're like, hey, where's Brian? Brian is over at UNLV at the UNF America Tour, and he is networking, and he's talking to people. I think Destiny was going to be there, and they might have some debates. So it's over by the Student Center. It looks like there is still time to get down there if you live nearby. Obviously, you have to live in Las Vegas. But we're going to go ahead and take some calls. And today we'll start with Scott. Hey, Scott, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, how are you? I wanted to call and thank you and apologize for triggering you yesterday. And
I'd like to be triggered, but thank you.
Yeah, I love you guys. You give a crazy liberal nut like me an opportunity to voice his opinions and theories and things. And, I
people
just
in the live chat
Brian.
were defending you. They
thought that, thank them.
They thought I went a little rough. And my only point was you were saying we, and I just, I've been fighting racism my whole life.
Me too, a lot of it. Yeah,
I was a union president, and I was considered a labor union president, and I fought for workers' rights and people's civil rights. I filed discrimination cases for people, and so I am not one of those people, and I really, really do not like racist people.
Right. So I likened it, and I thought about when Brian says that racists vote for Trump, but not all Trump voters are racist. So yes, America has a very big racism problem, and in that respect, it's unfortunately to me like kind of almost an American thing. That doesn't mean I do it. I grew up in New York, though, so I kind of got taught it at an early age.
Where'd you grow up in New York?
Far Rockaway, Queens, and Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. So
I've been to Sheepshead Bay before. We used to go to clubs out there. I lived in New Jersey. We'd go to clubs and we had some friends in Sheepshead Bay.
So yeah, if you went into the wrong neighborhood in New York, you could get killed just for your race. If it was white going into a black neighborhood, black going into a white neighborhood. So that's all I meant. This country has a long history of racism. That doesn't mean we're all racist. I didn't mean to imply that in any way.
No, you're right, Scott, to call it out. You're right to call it out. Yeah. You're right to not be afraid to speak about it because so many people, it was covered up for so long. And the only thing that changes now under the Trump administration, the racists they're not even hiding. They're hiding in plain sight.
Nope. And in some respects, that's a good thing because we should know where they're at. Other than if they're hiding, they can do things, crazy stuff, and we would never know. But the good thing about cell phones is we know now.
Well, Trump's pick for special counsel had to go ahead and bow out because they found tweets talking about Hitler and Nazism and then these young Republicans who were not young Republicans. They were between the ages of 18 and 40, and many of them were in their 30s. Were just saying terrible, racist, and I guess kind of made comments about Nazis and they were anti-Semitic in there, and so it's good to call it out. And I want you to know that we appreciate your call.
Yeah, if I may be honest, a lot of my life I was fairly to moderately racist myself. It's something I work on every day not to be. People are human. I actually have been checking out some black women lately. I think they're beautiful women. I've changed.
You know what, Scott? It takes a tough man, a big man, to talk in front of thousands of people and admit that he was wrong, admit that he can do better, and that he's now going to be that way. So that's very impressive.
One thing Trump did, and I'll leave it at this, is he made me realize I'm a full hard-on Democrat. There's nothing conservative about me. There's nothing that I want from them or need. So, I'm grateful to be a part of today, and thank you.
I'm glad to hear from you, Scott. Next,
have a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, Scott. Next, we'll go to line 2, and we'll bring in Julie. Hi, Julie. What's on your mind? Julie, you with us? Julie, I think your radio's on.
Leonard?
Hi, Julie. You're on.
Okay, good. I didn't expect to get on this quick. Basically, I don't know if anybody knows, but food stamps are not going to come out next month because of the government shutdown.
Yes, we talked about that. Just on the SNAP program, about 42 million people, and this is directly from MSNBC. This is in the news. This is not something that's hyperbole. 42 million people are going to lose or have cuts, serious cuts made to their SNAP program, and I think the WIC program, and it's all going to happen November 1st. So what's interesting is, do you think the Republicans will have to give in and bring back the House of Representatives before November 1st? Because if November 1st comes and goes, and the Republicans allow this to happen, I think they're going to blame the Republicans. I don't see anybody blaming the Democrats. What do you think?
I think they're still going to keep blaming the Republicans. No, they're still blaming the Democrats, because you know how the freaking MAGAs are.
Yeah, they're kind of blind with their loyalty. And I think we saw a poll last night, about 59% of the people are blaming the Republicans and Trump for the shutdown and the serious damage that it's doing to the economy and to just people in general. But hopefully we'll get it resolved. We'll say a prayer, and hopefully we'll get it resolved before November 1st. Otherwise, 42 million people are going to be hurting. Thank you for your call, Julie. We appreciate the question, and unfortunately, we have a lot of callers. We're going to have to move on. Have a good day. Line 3. So on line 3, Vivian. Vivian, are you with us? What's on your mind?
How you doing today, Leonard?
Good, good. It seems like it's going very well.
It is, right? I just want to say I'm so tired of the grifter in the office, because you know how you were talking about I'm trying to get people to pay for his legal fees. What about the money he spent in 2016 to 2024 on this campaign that he never paid the states back for?
Yeah, and that's just so the listeners know, campaign money cannot come from public money, but this president seems to be stepping over every boundary. I mean, look at the East Wing of the White House. He's demolishing
right.
and you need congressional approval, and it's considered a historic site. And actually, the National Forest Service is in charge of that structure, and he didn't check with anybody. So what is going on?
The fact it's just even being done, it's awful. I mean, I absolutely cried when I seen that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't believe this.
That he seems to have no concern for history and historical structures, and it's like somebody knocking down the Lincoln Memorial or one of those structures, and just completely ignoring the presidential library or the Capitol building, and I don't know how he's getting away with it, but they say that there's people who have standing who can file lawsuits, but I don't know if I see that happening. And
no, I don't see it happening because
Vivian, just make sure that you get informed and stay informed and spread the word and try to get people out for the midterms, as many as you can.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you, Vivian. Thanks for the call. We're going to go to line 4. And on line 4, we're going to have Frank. Hi, Frank. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Leonard? Governor. But I wanted to ask you, since you are ex-police officer, if we get Trump out of office, or he's impeached, or he does his whole 4 years, will he see any jail time for what he's done with his presidency?
That's probably going to be a no, and I know a lot of people would like to see that, and they want him to pay. It's probably going to be a no. I think that if President Trump didn't win the election and become president, what they were saying was, if he's convicted of all the charges, that the insurrection and the conspiracy and those kinds of things, that worst case scenario, he would have to maybe wear an ankle monitor and be housed at Mar-a-Lago and sort of be, not in prison, but he would have to stay there. And I don't see it. And the reason I don't see it is you got to be careful not to set a precedent, because if the next president, let's say, is a Democrat, and they do some things that people consider illegal or that they shouldn't have done, then they're going to want to jail him. And that's what they do in third world countries. However, I think it's interesting that in France, they just jailed the former president, and he's going to do 5 years in jail.
Yeah, I saw that. But I'm just saying, he's probably going to skate away from any jail time or any coming for the people and getting any kind of punishment.
Well, where people might get their pound of flesh is, you have to remember that Pam Bondi is not the president. She doesn't share the same presidential immunity. And Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pete Hegseth and Caroline Leavitt and people like that, they have no presidential immunity. So, is it going to be their time, or will the next president, if they are a Democrat, will they have the fortitude? Will they have the political capital to spend on going after people? I say there's a good possibility, but seeing an American president jailed, regardless of what they did, I just don't see it.
Wow. All right, Leonard, thank you.
Well, thanks for the call. You have a good day.
You too.
Okay, and we have on line 6, we have Armando. How you doing, Armando? What's on your mind?
Okay, I'm sure you've heard of that object in space. It's called 3I Atlas, a comet.
It's a comet. Yeah, I don't remember hearing much about it in the news. But what do what is it headed towards Earth?
Well, no, it's way. It's going to be on the other side of the sun pretty soon. It's called perihelion, I think. It's the closest to the sun. But anyhow, I was listening to a physicist, Michio Kaku. Have you ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
Well, what about Avi Loeb? He's a physicist or astronomer at Harvard.
Okay, and what's he say about it?
Well, he says, that it spins with mathematical precision while maintaining its trajectory. So the thing weighs, I think it's about the size of Manhattan Island in New York, and it weighs 33 billion tons. Where
can they look up this information, Armando? Where can people?
Well, I got it on YouTube, okay. And Avi Loeb, check him out. He's talking about it a lot. And what it does is it's like a fighter pilot, like the colonel, in jet fighter, he does barrel rolls, and maintains his trajectory, right? His orientation. And this thing is doing the same thing.
Oh, well, if people want, they can go check it out online. Armando, we really appreciate the call, and, call back again sometime. So we're taking your calls at 702-221-7283. Go ahead and call in. If you have trouble getting through, just keep calling. You'll eventually get through to Numchuck, our producer. We're going to line 1, Ramona. Ramona, what's on your mind?
Hi, yeah. Just wanted to say that I'm a huge fan of the show. My husband and I, and of you, Leonard, and of course, Brian. Well, what I wanted to talk about was even before the No Kings protests started, we were having protests at our, one of the corners in our small town in Northwest Indiana, and we have all the people that attend bring something for the food banks. So every week that we donate to the food banks.
That's very nice.
So with all this going on, I'm glad that we are able to do that. And we've been standing out there even during the Iraq war. We were out there protesting. We didn't think we'd have to go out there again. But here we are. And the other thing I wanted to say was that what I hear a lot from MAGA is that they believe that all Democrats are liberal. That's not true. I've talked to many
Democrats who have very conservative values. So we're not all alike.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
conservative
don't like when,
on some things. It's really the issues for me.
yeah. But I mean, back though, they tend to tell me things like, you're all liberals and they like to say libtards, of course, but
Well,
we're not all
Can I
like
ask you a personal question? Are you Christian?
spiritual.
Spiritual. So let's
Mhm.
talk. How about if we talk in terms of good people and bad people? How about that?
Well, that's fine.
So how come the good people see a problem and they gather food and they feed the hungry and they help the poor and they fight for what's right, and then people on the other side, basically their attitude is, if you don't have health coverage, you should have planned better, and if you don't have food, I can't help you. Does it really take that much, Ramona? Does it really take that much of an effort to see someone outside of a 7-Eleven, for instance, and they're hungry, and you could tell that they're not faking it, they're really a hungry person? Is it really that big a deal to say, hey, come on inside, or I'll buy you a sandwich, and get them a bottle of water and feed that person? Is that really so outlandish? Is that really so bad?
It's not bad if you have empathy.
Right. So a little bit more than half of the country probably has no empathy, correct?
Well, I think, a lot of people are, just me. That's what I hear a lot of people saying, well, how does it affect me? That doesn't affect me. Well, it affects a lot of other people, though.
So what do you think of Donald Trump, big, beautiful bill where it's going to take people off Medicaid and Medicare and affect Social Security?
Horrible. It's horrible, of course. I mean, that's why we're out there every week.
Well, Ramona, I really appreciate the call and your input. And we got some more callers waiting on the line. So we're going to have a good day, Ramona, and thank you for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, let's go to line 5. Line 5, Dave. Dave, you there?
Thanks for taking. Yeah, I'm here. Can you take
How are you, Dave?
All right. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay.
I don't understand. Okay, I'm going to be 61 November 7th. Okay, so I lived on this and walked on this earth a lot longer than some of these people on your airwaves. But I was going to tell you right now, if people don't understand what the Republicans stand for by now, since Ronald Reagan, that they are very greedy, they are against social services, Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps. And if you guys don't watch TV or pay attention and you can't figure this out by now, since Ronald Reagan or even a lot longer before that, there is something wrong with you as voters. There has to be.
I agree.
Because I'm an independent and I know I will never vote for Republican because that's what they stand for, people. They stand for greediness.
Well, can I ask you this, Dave? I see a clear distinction between a conservative Republican, who are basically cowards right now, and MAGAs. MAGAs are extreme. They have no empathy. They don't care about people. They don't care how many people are hurt by their policies. And I think there's a big difference. But let me ask you about social services. So most of the big corporations and a lot of the conservative Republicans, especially the MAGAs, they don't like paying taxes. They don't want to be taxed.
They don't.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do those same corporations that have buildings, do they drive on public roads? Do they walk on public sidewalks? Do they use street lights at night to see their way around? When they call 911 and their house is on fire, they expect a fireman to come? Or if there's a heart attack, medical, or a crime, police? Do they like the parks, all the parks, and bringing their family to the park and bringing their family to the lake? Because you know what? That's social programs. That is a social program. They're using taxes for your services. So why don't they want to pay taxes? That's my question.
The thing, like I say, it doesn't make sense. The fact is they're using the White House as a corporation. That's what the Republicans are for, people. They are a corporation. They're corporatists.
And they hate welfare.
That's what they stand for. They don't like welfare. They don't like child support. If people don't figure that out by now, after Ronald Reagan about almost 50 years ago, if you can't figure that out, then you're really stupid. You're too stupid to vote. Period.
And I'm going to tell you right now, this Trump, retard, he has sued the law firm almost $1 billion. Remember, he got that. What about the Paramount settlement? $60 million. ABC, $50 million. Meta, $25 million settlement to 2021 Trump lawsuit. Now he's suing the Department of Justice for $250,000, and then he's giving more money to what? Argentina, to another country, while these people are going to lose their food stamps and these people are going to lose their Medicaid. Oh, okay. So you guys did not know that when you went to the ballot and you were a Republican, you didn't figure that out, that your Medicaid was going to be taken away.
They voted against their own best self-interest. They voted against their own interest.
But you see how stupid that is? I know if I was on the radio show.
I don't use it a lot, but that's pretty stupid.
But you know something? I went on on the Chicago radio, because I'm always on the radio, on the Chicago radio all the time. And I said, this is what they said. You're too stupid to vote. If you can't figure this out, that if you're a Republican and you know that you are Republican and you know that they're going to take away your Medicaid, your food stamps, or basically you're going to say, well, they'll never take my Medicaid. Republicans will never do that. They always have taken that away since Ronald Reagan.
Tell me how that's America first. When you give $20 billion to Argentina and you're working on another $20 billion that could be used in your own country to help Americans, how is that America first? How is that not Donald Trump first?
That's not, Leonard. And then he's using our taxpayer dollars so he can get his money back, his $250,000 that he sued, that the Department of Justice went after him for. Your tax, if he wins this lawsuit, the Department of Justice, guess what, people? Your taxpayer dollars are going to go to him for that lawsuit.
Yeah, some people think that he wants that money for the ballroom. He says he's going to give it to charity, and that's kind of conspiracy. There were some people online on video saying that it's an awful close to the amount of money that he's going to use on the ballroom.
Sure. Once a liar is always a liar, Leonard. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, especially, how about Mike Johnson? The guy just looks right in the camera, and he does look stressed out. He looks like he's pouting most of the time. I call him Pouty Mike Johnson. But how about the stuff he's coming up with? The word salad sandwich. And then even the reporters, Mr. Leader, what you're saying, you realize what you're saying doesn't make sense. Have you listened back to what you're saying? Because it's irrational, is it not?
It's disgusting, man. I don't know what to say, Leonard.
Well, I appreciate you calling, Dave.
They need to start thinking before they go to the ballot. They need to start thinking twice when they go to the ballot who they're going to vote for.
Don't get mad, vote. Don't get frustrated, vote.
Don't get frustrated, and make sure that you stand your ground and don't kind of I don't want you to blame the Democrats if they end up being in office, and then you're going to blame them and say, oh, I don't like the Democrats, I'm going back to the Republicans. No, if you go back to the Republicans, they're going to try twice as hard to take away your Medicaid, twice as hard to take away your food stamps. So stay Democrat, so that way you can get your damn food stamps and your Medicaid. Thank you.
Spread the word. Thank you for the call. Okay, we're going to go to line 3. Oh, line 2. We're going to line 2, Jason. Jason, what's on your mind?
Oh, man, this is really scary for me, man. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but Except just said that all military personnel are not allowed to talk to Congress.
Yeah, I said that last night.
Any lawmaker. We're going down a rabbit hole.
So they put the Pentagon on notice, just to clarify for the listeners. Pete Hegseth has put, the Secretary of Defense has put the Pentagon on notice that even at the highest ranking levels, that they are not authorized to talk to anyone in the legislature unless it's pre-authorized. Go ahead, sir.
So this is the part that is bothering me, because like you said, the 2026. So they could have secret operations to make sure that every blue city, those people can vote, to make sure that the 2028 or 2026, that every Republican wins again.
I know it sounds a bit of conspiracy theory to think that they either will not allow them, they will accuse them of cheating, or they'll say that the election was rigged, and they'll target the blue states, and they'll make sure that they win back the House. And just remember one thing about conspiracies: it's a conspiracy until it happens. Right? Is that correct, Jason?
That's correct. But also, you got to think about it like this: they can even let the blue states all vote, but when they try to bring the vote to Congress, they could stop them right there. Like I said, and a secret operation to make sure, okay, every blue state, when they're about, because they know when they're going to bring the votes to the Congress that be red, they could say every blue state, no vote is going to be brought to the Congress, and they could have ICE,
Jason, what do you think of the possibility of the 2026 midterms coming up and the possibility of the Trump administration declaring war on some tiny South American country and then saying, well, we can't have an election because we're at war, and use Ukraine as an example? You think that's possible?
No, I think it's possible for Venezuela. So he could say, because it's right on our border, below us, that he could say we're at war with Venezuela and then say there's no vote.
Right,
That's
even though he can't declare war unless we're being attacked, unless there's people already inside the country, unless it's a clear cut. Other than that, he would need congressional approval, but he needed congressional approval to start tearing down the east wing of the White House. He didn't get any approval for that, did he?
No, but he didn't get any approval for bombing those boats in the ocean. He didn't get no approval for that. So I think he's going to declare war, and he's already got Supreme Court that's right in his pocket. So they're going to go, oh, no, he's allowed. They already gave him immunity. There's no way the president should have immunity once he's out of office.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you got cut off. No, I agree with you 100%. And Jason, what I tell everybody is to get informed and stay informed and spread the word. And if you feel frustrated, that's fine, but vote. Encourage your family, your friends nationwide. Encourage everyone you know to make sure they get out and vote.
Yeah, well, like I said, if Trump has his way, that's why he put that 2028 hat in front of Schumer and Jeffries, because he plans to never leave the office. Because if you think about it, I'm not even worried about Trump, because when he get out of office, he'll be old and decrepit. But I want to go after his family. I want to go after Kushner. I want to go after all his sons. I want to go after everybody that has anything to do with Trump.
You mean legally? Legally.
Yeah.
In the court of law, right?
Every single one that doesn't have immunity, I want them to get them all.
All right, Jason. Well, thank you for the call, and stay in touch. Let us know how things are going. Again, lines are open, 702-221-7283, and almost every line is filled. I think we still have one open, so call right away, 702-221-7283, and we'll go to line 4, and we're going to go to Terry.
Call right away,
Hi, Terry. What's on your mind?
Hi, Leonard. It's great to have you today.
Thanks, Terry.
I spent the last couple of days thinking about the 2028 election. I feel I have some confidence about 2026 possibly taking back the House and the Senate. What really concerns me, and I want your opinion on this for the 2028 election, is I actually have some real concerns. If we win that election, would J.D. Vance certify the election?
Well, I think he already committed in a veiled kind of way that he would not. So what they could possibly do is what they did in back in 2020. They could say that they could go to each state, like in this state in Nevada. They had some fake electors who were actually charged with felonies eventually, who said that they certified the results and said that Trump won the state in Nevada. And so that is one way for them to attack us. I think they're going to use every way that's possible to say that the votes didn't count, and that it wasn't a real election and it was fake. And keep in mind, there's a lot of different. He shouldn't even run. Trump shouldn't be able to run. And if you look at the Constitution, you can only do 2 terms. And so he would have already done his 2 terms. And my question is, if he tries to do another term, can Obama run? Can Barack Obama run? Will he leave the White House peacefully? Will there be a peaceful transfer of power? I would say no. I would say, just like Bill Maher said the first time around, he's not just going to walk away from the White House and say, okay, transfer of power is peaceful. Do you think he should be able to run in 2028?
I do not, and actually, the information you're giving me, Leonard, I believe is true and quite gruesome, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways. What if the Republicans go around and say that the Dominion voting machines were not accurate? I think a rich billionaire just bought the Dominion voting machines, and they say that the Democrats cheated and their votes don't count in certain states. I mean, any scenario you can think of is a possibility. And when people protest, what's going to happen when the Americans are tired of it and they protest, but the military is already occupying most of the blue states and most of the blue cities that would be the protesters? What's going to happen then?
Those are all good questions, Leonard, and we definitely need to stay vigilant and engaged.
Oh, I agree, Terry. Well, thanks for the call, and hang in there. Tell your friends to vote because this is going to be an important one. Let's go to line one. We'll go to line one, and it's Will. Will, what's on your mind?
Hey, Leonard, how are you?
Oh, good. Having a busy day.
I know. I've been listening. There's just so many things. Everybody's making great points listening to the show. I just wanted to touch real quick, since you were a police officer for 25 years. I know people have a lot of anger, and it seems like, I was talking to a friend just today, and he's like, imagine a year ago how you felt as opposed to today, like what a difference a year makes.
I can tell you that several years back, if somebody would have said the scenarios that are occurring right before my eyes in real time, I would have said could never happen. I would say that America would not stand for military troops occupying cities. They would not stand for men in masks who are wearing not even a badge, not even their name, and then arresting people, refusing to identify themselves. And then after they're arrested, one woman called about her grandmother, and they said they didn't know what agency arrested her. They said, we'd have to check, and we'll get back to you. And they didn't even know where she was booked. Now, does that sound like America to you? Does that sound like it should be in America?
No, that's not America. And the first thing people go to is anger, but you know what? The best way to do it is, like you said, you vote, the courts. I follow a lot of court rulings, a lot of this stuff that Trump is trying to get through. He's getting a lot of losses.
Remember what Obama said when they were booing up on stage when he mentioned Trump's name? He said, "Don't boo, vote."
Absolutely.
Don't get mad.
That's
vote.
Our biggest strength. Absolutely. We stay organized. We stay peaceful, but we sure as hell we vote. And you take them to it smart. You don't take it to them stupid with violence or anything. And that was my point that I wanted to make.
It sounds like you're following a good strategy. Get informed, stay informed, spread the word.
Absolutely. Take care, Leonard.
Thank you for your call, Will. And now we're going to go to line 5. Line 5. Hey, Carl, what's on your mind? Carl, you with us? I hear something.
Hello.
Hi. Carl, are you there?
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, good. Listen, I talked to you yesterday, but this is a real important point. I'm retired, as I said a long time ago. I was a psychologist, and what you do is you diagnose people by their words and their thoughts rather than their symptoms, like a regular MD does. And if anybody has any knowledge of what I know, and they listen to Trump, you can easily diagnose him as having extreme dictatorship symptoms. He definitely wants to be, he sounds like any other dictator I've studied. He has the same thoughts of any other dictator.
Narcissist.
And that's what he wants to be.
Do you know what a megalomaniac is?
Well, of course.
Well, why don't you explain to the listeners what a megalomaniac is in clinical terms?
Well, it's basically, I'm always right. I'm never wrong. Anything I say is God's word. And, honestly, you don't make a mistake. When you don't apologize, that means you don't think you were mistaken.
And they don't believe they can. They don't believe they can make a mistake.
Well, and they can't apologize either. That's part of the clinical symptoms. of these people. They apologize would like practically destroy them. They can't do it. But he's such an extreme dictator quality about him that he has to. It's all deep inside. And when he's like going to the White House,
we're in trouble.
Well, like what he did to the White House, didn't ask for anybody's approval, Congress, or which you have to. These are things dictators do, and that's what he wants to be.
Oh yeah, he's an authoritarian
And-
for sure. Fits the
Oh,
exact
it's
definition.
yeah, it's very frightening actually to have a man like that in charge of this government. I mean, it's like I don't want to say it, but it's like getting Hitler back.
You can say it.
Somebody,
if you look at the 1933 playbook, remember Hitler started in about 1920. You know,
Right.
he was the Fuhrer, and then eventually became the Chancellor in 1933. But if you look at how he
Right.
treated the media and closed them
Yeah.
down and went to state-run media, how he hated certain groups and he encouraged people to hate certain groups, and he had secret police and he had military going out and asking people for papers. I mean, does that sound familiar,
Well, it's the
or is it
same.
just me?
Well, no, it's going on. That's what I said. He has that dictatorship tendency deep inside of him, and he's not going to be happy until he completely controls the whole affair. Everything he says is the word is God, you know, and it's just saying, and it's unfortunate.
I
and
know.
I feel
And,
sorry for.
thank you for your call, Carl. Unfortunately, we're
You got it.
stacked and we got to get some other callers, but we really appreciate your call and your perspective. Thank you. Okay, let's go to line 2. Ovi. Ovi's on line 2. What's on your mind, Ovi?
I just wanted you to know, Leonard, today I went to bowl and this guy had this cap on with Make America Great Again, and I just asked him, how has Trump made America great again? And he tells me that he stopped 8 wars. I said, tell me what 8 wars if he stopped. I said, tell me what
No, he
he's
hasn't.
done
Yeah,
to
that's
make
inaccurate.
America great.
What
Pardon
state
me?
did you vote in?
I vote in Texas.
Oh, they had. Okay. And so was he within, I think you're not allowed to have any kind of political paraphernalia within 100 yards of the voting site. Was he at the voting site?
No, I had bowling.
Oh, okay. I thought you said voting. Sorry, my bad.
Oh no,
They were
bowling. and I asked him. I said, "What have been done to make America great again?" From my standpoint, there's nothing great going on right here, right now.
Well,
And
let
then
me
he
ask
tells
you
me-
something. Isn't saying "Make America Great Again" kind of talking in a regressive way? Isn't that the past? Isn't that saying you want to go back to 1950s when women stayed home and had children, and or even further back when they didn't have in the beginning of the 1900s no voting rights? And isn't it saying that the Civil Rights Act of 1965, I think, shouldn't have been, that there shouldn't be a civil voting act allowing everyone to vote equally? Isn't that what they're saying? Or do they want to go back further? Do they want to go back to, slavery? I don't know. How far back do they want to go?
I feel like they want to go back to slavery.
They want to
That's
go.
what I feel like.
So yeah, they
And
want
like
to go
I
all the
told
way back
him-
to the 1860s, because when they say "Make America Great Again," that's regressive. That's not progressive. That's not about the future. That's about wanting to go back to when they thought things were great. So are they saying, in your opinion, "Make America White Again"? Because I've heard that from many people.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
what you need to do is to get informed and stay informed. And spread the word.
Mhm.
Make sure
But
that you know what you're talking about when you get into these debates, when you talk to people about the real facts and figures and what's really going on, and encourage everyone in your family and everyone you know to vote, because they're going to have to vote in the midterms. It's the only way we're going to be able to stop the momentum.
That's right. But Leonard, you know what he said? He said he listened to Fox News. I said, you need to get off of Fox News and get the real truth.
Yeah, well,
And he said Fox News tells the truth. I said, no, they don't.
Fox News is a bunch of talking points. hyperbole and talking points that are not connected to facts most of the time. And that's just the way it is. But thank you for your call. We're going to get to some other callers now. Let's go to line 5, Gabe. Hello, Gabe. What's on your mind?
Hey, Leonard. The topic that I want to talk to you about is, so I don't think you pay attention to anything going on in Tucson, Arizona. And obviously, I told you that I'm a huge University of Arizona fan, but this applies to what's going on in Washington. You know how colleges across the nation, and you know how Trump is trying to force colleges to go along with Trump.
Right. And I think it was Virginia is the first public college to make a deal with Trump. I think that just happened today or yesterday. But what he's doing is he's trying to get them to change their programs. And if they won't pay him, he's going to stop funding, which I'm not sure is completely legal, but he is doing it.
So anyway, good. So U of A, University of Arizona decide that. So they said that University of Arizona and the president of University of Arizona made a statement that says we're not going to do what the Trump administration is going to tell us to do. So I'm proud of U of A that basically stand on.
Thank you for letting us know. And by the way, I have a middle son who graduated with a master's in business and finance from Arizona State. So go Sun Devils.
No. Oh, dear God, don't do that.
I have
me.
to. I have to. It's family. I can't go any other way. He graduated from there. I got to stick with the Sun Devils. All right. Well, you have a good day, and thank you for the call. And go Arizona. And
go down Arizona, go Cats.
So we're going to go to line 2. Who do we have on line 2? Darlene. Hello, Darlene.
Yes, Leonard, my favorite co-host and the host today. First of all, Leonard, I got to let everybody know. Vacation is over from the MAGA Destroyer because I'm back now.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
Sick. I have been sick for like 2 to 3 weeks, and it hasn't been fun.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
I have a question for you. I want to make a citizen's arrest on Donald Trump. So what do? No, I'm serious. What can we do to make a citizen's arrest?
Well, here's the thing. If you want to make a citizen's arrest, by law, you have to have probable cause that a crime has been committed. And so if you want to take them into physical custody, you can. But here's where it changes for the average citizen. It's the president of the United States. So when the U.S. Marshals or the FBI would show up, and I know we're just kind of talking about, this is really hyperbole more than anything. But if you did, the agency that shows up decides whether or not you have probable cause, and that's where it would fall apart, because they would tell you that no matter what he did, he has immunity and there's no probable cause. And so, but I hear what you're saying. I hear that some of the things he's doing is, some people believe he's violated the emoluments clause. He's making money off the presidency. There's the Bitcoin thing, and there's destroying public property. And I understand what you're saying, Darlene. And but I am glad you're feeling better. It sounds like you got your energy back, and we can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. I want everybody. I need help, guys. I'm following Mark Wayne Nolan, and y'all know who he is in Oklahoma. I want all y'all to go there and follow him and help me take all the megas down, because I'm in there basically by myself, and I've been taking them down every day because I couldn't talk, but I can still go on the computer.
Well, we're working a little bit at a time. We're working on pushback. The No Kings rally was a big deal. They're saying 7 million, but now a lot of the news agencies are reporting 10+ million. So it's always good to push back, and it's always good to hear from you, Darlene.
Thank you.
That's Darlene, the MAGA Destroyer, for those
too.
listeners who haven't heard her before.
Oh, I got a big mouth, but I have to use it.
All right. Thank you, Darlene.
Hey, Leonard, we appreciate you so much.
We appreciate
Brian,
you too,
we
Dawn.
miss you.
Thanks, sweetheart. You have a
Okay,
good day.
bye, guys.
All right, we're going to go to line 6. We're going to go to line 6, and we have Brett. How's it going, Brett?
Hey, what's up, Leonard? How are you?
Oh, it seems like it's going pretty well. We got a lot of good callers today.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Great job. I really wish I shared your optimism as far as it's just going to come down to voting in the midterms because, building this ballroom and the things that he's been doing in the last couple of months, I absolutely do not think he has any intention on leaving. And I really have no answers, or nobody's been able to give me an answer on what is possible in order to counteract him deciding not to leave. It's going to be like a Monty Python skit where the military's looking at the leader and they're looking back and nobody's going to know what to do because he is not leaving.
And you know, and that's the problem that I see. And I've got, and even in the live chat and from friends and some family, they do not like me, talking about the Democratic leadership in a negative way because they get enough negativity. But I have to be fair on both sides. I'm not afraid to talk about the Republicans or the MAGAs or the Dems or the independents. And the Dems do not have the proper leadership right now. And Kim Jeffries will give you a wonderful speech. You know, he'll talk about all the wonderful things and we have to protect democracy and hold them accountable and we need to get together. And it's like, okay, but you're a leader. What's the plan? That's like me as a lieutenant showing up on a scene and telling everybody, okay, guys, we're going to fight crime. We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to stick together. And then everybody's like, okay, but there's somebody barricaded in the house, lieutenant. So what's the plan? When you're a leader, you have to give a step. Chuck Schumer's even worse. He sent a strongly worded letter with 8 questions, and that's not leadership. I can ask you, I can ask any Democrat that calls in right now and say, what is the plan? If you know what the plan is for the Dems and for the leadership, what is the plan? And let me ask you, since you're on the phone, Brett, do you think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries would even step aside for new, younger, or maybe even older, but new energy and new ideas? Would they even step aside?
No, they have no intention of stepping aside. In a lot of ways, they're no different. Just that they don't have the gumption, the power, the speaking ability. They don't even have any of the basic leadership.
Not to interrupt you, but Hakeem Jeffries is a good speaker. It's just that
he's an excellent speaker.
Where's the plan?
I think he's soft as baby shit. He is soft. He is. I think he would cower in a corner if somebody yelled at him a little loud.
Representative Berkeley is in the House of Representatives, I believe, even as we speak. He's given a marathon lecture. He's given a marathon talk. He's going to try to break the record. But let me ask you, because last time Booker did the same thing and for 25 hours. But let me ask you, did that move the needle? Did it really move the needle? Did it push the ball closer to the goal line?
I know he's very unpopular, and I don't agree with a lot of his policies and intentions. But you know who is very good? Madani. Madani has it down. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to use social media. He knows he's smart. He knows.
Well, Trump is saying if Mamdani gets elected, that he's going to start to pull funding from New York that's been already allocated by Congress. And by the way, when you talk about a plan, I could contribute to a plan. How come we don't have a Project 2029? How come the Dems are not getting together and say, this is our position on abortion? This is our position on the border and the ICE agents. This is our position on the economy. This is how we're going to be progressive. This is how we're going to pay for medical expenses, Medicare, Medicaid. I might sound a little arrogant saying it, but couldn't you at least give us a plan? Couldn't you say this is what we're going to do moving forward? Thank you for your call, Brett. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And the phone lines are still packed. So I'm trying to get to everyone as fast as I can. We'll go to line 1. Line 1, Pam, are you there? What's on your mind?
Yes, hi. I just wanted to say that, first of all, I'm a proud Sun Devils mom. But,
yeah, go Sun Devils.
Yes, I just wanted to give a couple of things for people to do kind of after the No Kings protest. The first thing is you can go to find out what the next steps are. You can go to mobilize.us/no-kings.
Could you give that
and
again?
they give you a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, it's mobilize.us/no-kings.
That is great information. Really good.
And this is the second thing that's super important, okay? So what you want to do is you want to go to, you want to text the word shutdown to 30403. So it's the word shutdown to 30403.
Give the numbers one more time, Pam. Give the numbers.
Okay. 30403.
And where does that go to?
That goes to a place where they can get you hooked up with your senators. And when they'll get you the information to call your senators, and then you can tell them to stay tough in the shutdown fight and to not give in. We want people to, we want the shutdown to continue because people are still losing their jobs. They lost them before the shutdown. They're losing them now. They'll lose them in the future. We want them to stay tough so we can get what we want.
Right. Thousands of people. Just so the listeners know, tens of thousands of people losing their jobs, unemployed, no chance of getting them back because Trump doesn't want them to have. And by the way, he admitted, Pam, out in the public, Trump admitted that he's going to go after Dem programs, more divisiveness. But thank you for the call.
Right, that's what he's doing. And one of my proud Sun Devil kids is a medical bio researcher for cancer, and they're losing all their funding for kids' cancer research.
Yeah, and they
okay. So this is ridiculous.
Veterans, the research and development
exactly.
for veterans,
And my husband's
and the
a
diseases
veteran.
and the
Yeah.
PTSD. They just yanked that funding, laid off a few thousand people, and like I was saying before, no empathy. But thank you for the call, Pam. We really appreciate it. Good call. Okay, we're moving on to line 3. Line 3, Mark in Las Vegas. What's on your mind?
Hi, Leonard. Hey, a couple of things really quick. One is on social programs. When they were implemented during the Depression, everybody saw basically white people, white families that were in trouble, and that's what was broadcast. But as minorities were portrayed, it allowed room for the racists and the bigots to say, oh, those programs are for those people and we don't want it. So I think this is a problem that's occurred over decades, and the media should be held to account for their part in this. Today, still, in the red states where these programs are used, the vast majority of people that are using them are white.
75%, not to interrupt you, but 75% of them are.
Right. So what needs to happen is the people on the right need to see their own faces that are using these programs to undermine the racism and bigotry when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to the Supreme Court, I think they're undermining their own authority, which comes from the Constitution. So every time they make a ruling against that Constitution, I think we should be allowed to ignore that Supreme Court.
Yeah, but then you lose in court and you get charges against you. So that's, in theory, that's something that we can consider. But let me go back to the white black thing, where it was initially for the poor white people, and then politically it was a deflection so that it would relate to black people. But you know what I find interesting, and maybe you have a thought on this, is these MAGAs. The MAGAs know that it's killing the farms. They know that they're having to give up money and projects and SNAP and food stamps. They know it's hurting them, but you know what? They want it anyway. And in my opinion, it's just the only reason they don't mind getting hurt by their own programs is because as long as those other people don't get them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes, I definitely agree with that. But part of the issue too, Leonard, is that there's a conception that poor people or minorities or those people are taking the money, but these programs are passed through. You don't get the money for Medicaid. The providers get the money, and those people do. So, and in Social Security or for aid for children or that, the families get the food and they get the services, but the money goes to the providers, and those providers oftentimes are Republican in nature.
Yes, and it's a very, for Republicans to be against it in MAGAs, it's a very regressive opinion. It's considered austerity, and a Dem concept is more of prosperity. Now, what that means is,
sure,
instead of using austerity and taking money and programs away from people, you enhance the public programs. You use the taxes to make sure that people are well taken care of. And then guess what happens under progression? Their money becomes your money. They do it in Norway. They do it in Denmark. They do it in Sweden. All of those countries believe in their public employees. They believe in paying people well for what they do. And their economies are outstanding.
Right. Everybody is better off. It's just economic activity, and it helps people. And if people can see doctors before they have to go to the ER, it's less expensive and a better outcome.
Yeah. Well, macroeconomics is a little complicated, but I know I kind of undersold it because I tried to put it in simple terms. But thank you for the call. That was a really good call, very informative, and we really appreciate it. Unfortunately, we have people on hold. We're going to kind of move along.
All
okay.
Right. Go for it.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you. Let's go to line 4. Yeah. Line 4, Jack. What's on your mind, Jack?
Hey,
we got about a minute.
It's been all right. Well, first thing I just wanted to say was the protest. I know we got anywhere from 7 to 10 million people, but I just feel like that's not enough with how many things are going on. We need to come together at this point. We need to fight hand in hand with people we disagree with. So if you know anyone out there who may have supported Trump and maybe, leaning towards, not supporting him anymore, we need to get them in the fold because he is literally in the process of stealing our midterms, and that this vote will literally be the biggest.
And he's
in
admitting
American
it.
History.
He's admitting he's using
this
gerrymandering.
will literally be the biggest vote in American history if we want to keep our democracy. So if you have friends out there who are on the fence, if you have friends out there who are Republicans but know all this shit is wrong, you need to contact them.
Yeah, try not to curse because we're still on radio.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. But I agree with you, Jack. You the way you fight back is you spread the word. You get informed, you stay informed, you spread the word. You try to and don't give up. It's quite possible that there's Republicans out there that many of us have more in common with them than we do not have in common with them. So I believe what you believe. Stay on it, and make your best effort and get out and vote. Thanks for the call, Jack.
Do you think it's no problem.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're kind of running out of time here. It was a great show. I mean, great callers. The Colonel did a great job. And what's on tap for tomorrow? I believe I will be in studio tomorrow, and Brian Shapiro is going on the road. He's debating. I forget the gentleman's name that he's been saying. Tim Pool. Tim Pool with the watch cap. He'll be debating him. So I believe I will be here tomorrow. We do have a guest. I'm not going to announce the guest yet, but that's where we're at this point. And I want to say thank you for watching, and have a great day, and get out and vote. Have a good day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout.